If you had been traumatized by someone, you remember what you were doing that day and you remember the setting of when that happened. Hi, and welcome to Blossom Talk. I'm Kerstin Flo, and you know what I'm talking about here on my channel. Right now, it's all about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively's legal feud that also obviously involves Ryan Reynolds a lot, which I'm going to talk more about in this episode. So there was a new filing yesterday or last night from the Wayfair party claiming that Blake Lively still hasn't scheduled her deposition, and both Blake Lively and Stephanie Jones is making it really difficult for the Wayfair parties or for Brian Friedman to depose them. I wonder why. They're also mentioning in this letter to the judge why they find it very suspicious that Blake Lively is asking to see all this footage. Remember, I spoke about how they're claiming there's 50,000 hours of footage that also Justin Baldoni's legal team now is pointing out is 2,083 days and more than 5.5 years of filming. So they don't have that. They're saying they actually have less than 150 hours of footage. The thing is, Blake Lively wants to see all this footage, as she's saying, before her deposition. Why? As they're pointing out here, and as I said yesterday, if you are being harassed by someone, you remember when that happened. And obviously, as they're pointing out here as well, the reason why Blake Lively wants to see all the footage is that so she can go through everything and see if she can find anything in there that she can twist and use against Justin Baldoni. If you had been traumatized by someone, you remember what you were doing that day and you remember the setting of when that happened. And also, she wants to look at footage when she wasn't even there, when she wasn't even in the scene. For what? This is about her being SH. This footage is only about that. This footage has nothing to do with the alleged smear campaign. This is for Blake Lively to find proof that she was SH. As you know, she never told anyone close to her that she had this experience. She never texted any friends. She never emailed anyone. She never spoke about to anyone who said that they heard her talk about this. So this is her last kind of final hope, trying to find something in that footage that she can spin. And Baldoni's lawyers are pointing it out here, saying like, we are not falling for this and the judge should not allow it. This footage has nothing to do with Blake Lively's deposition. As the lawyer is pointing out, this is not from Brian Friedman, it's one of the other lawyers, and he's saying that not only does Ms. Lively have plenty of time to review the footage prior to her July 17 deposition, she's already very familiar with it because she edited it. Of course, she's seen all of this footage before because she was in the editing room when she stole the movie from Justin Baldoni. So this is just so shady. And also, they're claiming on behalf of Stephanie Jones that she also needs to see this before her deposition. It's like, what? This has nothing to do with Stephanie Jones. Now they're kind of one party, but you have to remember, Stephanie Jones run the company that Blake Lively is accusing of this alleged smear campaign against her. So Stephanie Jones was obviously calling the shots because she owned the company. And she, as you know, blamed everything on Jennifer Abel and stole her phone and gave the content to Blake Lively. But that doesn't change the fact that she should have known about it if this was the case. That, you know, Stephanie Jones is responsible for what her company is doing. If they're smearing someone, she's the one who should be responsible for that. Just as they're saying that Justin Baldoni is responsible for everything and Wayfair for It Ends With Us because they were running the show. Blake Lively was running the show. Ryan Reynolds was running the show. But anyways, the attorney here is also pointing out that the Second Circuit courts have delayed the production of audio and videotapes prior to one or more depositions in order to prevent the defendants or witnesses from tailoring their testimony to conform with their prior recorded statement of action. Exactly. They don't want Blake Lively to come up with new ideas that she finds in this footage that she can twist and make into a new narrative that, oh, I remember, oh, I was harassed that day too. You don't really see it there, but you can see my arm from the side there. And then you see Justin Baldoni, look at his eyes. He looks really threatening. I mean, Yeah, and as you remember, Blake Lively lied about this before when she claimed that she was harassed in that kissing scene. She did not know that there was behind the scenes footage of that scene, that the cameras were rolling and that there was audio there. She specifically said there were no audio, but there was audio and we all heard it, and there was nothing inappropriate going on between the two of them. And she doesn't want this to happen again because she doesn't know what kind of footage they have, and she wants to make sure that she's seen all of it, and she doesn't want to risk again making up another story that Justin Baldoni will later show and have the evidence proof, and showing the video is like, this is what really happened. This is not what Miss Lively is saying. Well, talking about taking ownership, there is this interview with Ryan Reynolds. I remember watching it, but I didn't pay that much attention to it then. This was posted about 10 days before that big reveal in the New York Times with Blake Lively when she accused Justin Baldoni of everything. And Ryan Reynolds had this sit down with Andrew Garfield. They did this actor on actor interview for Variety, and some of his quotes were published in IndieWire, and I was looking at them, and this one is quite interesting.
Okay, but at the end of the day, they're not writing the story about how, you know, the, you know, Phyllis von Philistine movie bombs. They're saying they use the actor who's in it, right?
Right,
So
yes,
it's,
yes, yes.
I own the bomb. So I felt like if I'm going to bomb or win, I want to have a say in it, and I want to have some authorship.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to bomb, I want to be the architect of my own demise.
And this again just proves how he needs to have control over everything. He's saying that he wasn't happy earlier in his career because he didn't have control of everything, and he didn't want to be responsible when a movie flopped unless he had a say in it. He didn't want to take that punch for someone else. And as I spoke about lately, you know, how his company, Maximum Effort, was responsible for the PR marketing campaign for It Ends With Us. And as we know, that was a disaster, even though the movie did make a lot of money. But his wife, Blake Lively, got canceled. I think we can say she got canceled after that movie. She got so much criticism from it. And of course, they needed someone to blame for that. And they chose Wafer and Baldoni.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
Right.
a passenger on someone else's nose-diving jet plane.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't want to be a passenger or someone else's nose-diving jet plane. Well, guess what? You are the pilot of this plane right now, and you're bringing everyone around you down with you, Ryan Reynolds, including your wife. He continues, though, to blame everyone around him for his failure and for Blake Lively's failure. Yeah, he's even blaming this on content creators and just random people on the internet. They're not only ruining their own brands and their own business opportunities and their own acting careers, he's dragging everyone else down with him. Not only people that have been involved in this drama, but all the third parties as well. He's dragged down publicists, production companies, assistants, and all the co-stars in It Ends With Us, people on the set that's being pressured. There's so many people involved in this, and it now also includes content creators that he's trying to drag down with him. So this person also pointed out something to me that makes so much sense to me. The reason why Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are going after content creators is because they are a much better target than to go after the press. If they were depositioning journalists and people of the press, there would definitely be other information that would get leaked. And that would be, for example, what kind of relationship they have to People magazine, to TMZ. For example, why did TMZ get the subpoenas before the people that were actually subpoenas? These three content creators, Perez Hilton, Candice Owens, and Andy Signor from Popcorn Planet, they didn't even know they were subpoenaed before they read about it in TMZ. So how did TMZ get this information? of course, from Blake Lively's team. And of course, they have some kind of deal with them and all these other outlets, including the New York Times, who's been pushing Blake Lively's narrative the entire time here. The only outlet that's been honest in their reporting about this is the Daily Mail, and they're kind of in a tricky position now because of this reporter, James Vitushka, that I spoke about. And we know now that he was probably pressured or allegedly pressured to sign a sworn statement of what happened, which really wasn't what happened. And now I hear he is fired. He got fired from the Daily Mail a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, there's a little sketchy stuff going on there. So that's why Blake and Ryan went after content creators. And they did it just to get attention, to take away the credibility of online creators, because they're not going to get anything from them. They're not going to get their sources. It's ridiculous. It is a complete PR stunt. So as the person is saying here, Ryan is trying to silence the exact same social media and content creating platforms that he used to saturate the market with his own business products that made him a billionaire. I was also contacted again by one of the people who used to work with Blake Lively. She had a small part in the rhythm section, the movie I spoke about yesterday, which was a huge bomb. It completely was a disaster. I think it lost about $40 million at the box office. It was a Paramount movie that completely failed. Anyways, I did speak about this before on my channel, and I told the story of this actress, but I just wanted to do it again because she sent me this yesterday to remind me of her experience. Even on the 4 days I worked on the rhythm section, that's Oscar, there was a very tense atmosphere on set, and we all got the impression that Blake was the cause of it. Huge delays every day where we were all left just sitting around with no idea what was going on. Reed, the director, was very nice, but I just don't think that she was a match of Blake's belligerence. As you know, I found Blake rude, dismissive, and belittling. She never made eye contact with me, only when we were on camera. She would not rehearse the scenes with me, and when I spoke directly to her, she just completely blanked me to the point I was so uncomfortable in her presence that I actually left the set and waited in the corridor until I was needed. When she came on set on the first day and introduced herself, she didn't wait for any of us to reciprocate and say pleased to meet you and introduce ourselves back as you normally would. She just loosely shook hands with people, not making eye contact, and just moved on to the next person. It was so uncomfortable for all of us. One of the other actors just looked at me. What just happened? What was that? Keep up your good work, Shashti, she's saying here. Thank you so much for reminding us again of this experience that you had. I interviewed someone else who has some experience with Blake Lively that is going to be on my podcast on Friday, so stay tuned for that. She actually worked with Blake Lively's mom. She was her manager. She knows the whole family, and she is very honest in her portrayal of the family and of Blake Lively. So stay tuned for that. And yes, thank you so much for watching. And thanks again for sending me so many great tips. You guys are so amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Blossom Talk. And I'll see you soon. Bye.